Absolute Superman issue 17, Jason Aaron writing with JUAN FERREYRA on the art. So, last issue set up the Parasite stuff. It also set up Hawkman coming to confront Superman. And this issue is effectively
He's such a...
yeah, on you go.
I was gonna say, Absolute Hawkman's such a piece of shit.
Oh,
I love
is,
him.
yeah.
He's the complete opposite of the Superman, and I love it. Right? Because we still don't really have, like, Roz was set up as you know, kind of like the Lex for the Superman, but that doesn't really fit. Hawkman just feels like the polar opposite. Like one day Superman might be able to get through to him, but today's not that day. And there's this edge to him that I can't help but love. And God, he sucks though.
Yeah, this issue is effectively the second half of a two-parter. And Ferreira's art once again really shines. We get all these people being like basically grabbed and becoming part of Parasite at the start of the issue, including Jimmy.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, I like how they draw that with all the different mouths, right? Because usually when we get Parasite, it's just that he's absorbing their power, their energy, their whatever. They're bringing them in, and they create almost like this hive mind. And they speak as we or whatever. And the way that they draw Jimmy, he's like, there's like this evil, not evil smile, but like an empty smile to him, right?
Well,
like, it's pulling it
what
back.
you're leaving out is that there's like purple tendons like pulling at his mouth and his eyes, and it's like a mix of like a Hellraiser style image with like the glasses things from A Clockwork Orange to make him watch the footage. That's what they've got going on here. But no, it's not even just a hive mind. Like he's literally like making them a part of his body. So it's not like they're just like connected to him separately. Like they're being pulled in, and the mass is getting bigger, and it's all these people that are making up all the extra mass of Parasite. So super horror story stuff. And Lois goes jumping into the water and has to dodge a couple of very xenomorph looking mouths coming from Parasite. I noted. But the art here is just gorgeous. Superman and Hawkman floating above the city, looking down at the Parasite, this big purple kaiju with a 4-way mouth opening and all that. And Hawkman just wants to kill it, and Superman's like, no, wait, that might kill all the people that's connected to him. We don't know what's going to happen to them. We should try and figure out a way to save everyone. So that kind of sets up the core conflict between those two for the issue. And meanwhile, Ra's al Ghul's getting broken out of prison by his daughter, and he's in a weird place where he's not really like, he doesn't really want to go at first. She kind of has to like drag him out and like talk him into it.
No, he feels like since he was defeated, he doesn't deserve the Lazarus pit, so he doesn't want to go. And it's like the loss to Superman has completely messed up his life. It's completely changed his view of the world. And she even has to like drag him. He's like, come on, we broke out. We made this distraction. You gotta go. Yeah.
Which is what
I want to go back to Hawkman.
I was going to say that's what the Parasite thing is. It's all just this big distraction that she's created so they can go and get him out.
Go get him out of So I want to go back to the Hawkman and Superman where they're talking, and he's like, you can't just kill that thing, and Hawkman's like, we got to kill this thing or everybody else is going to be dead. Mind you, Superman has just told him that it's everybody, and he's like, yeah, we'll save it by killing them. And it just shows how warped the Absolute Universe can be, right? When this is a guy that is supposed to be like a hero, right? Is that his first thing is to kill, if it means killing all these people to kill the Parasite, he's willing to do it. And that is dark.
Yeah, the big thing ends up being that when Lois gets grabbed, Superman goes to try and save her. She's already kind of like being connected to Parasite, and he saves her. Like she gets the purple stuff gets pulled away, and they fly off. But then Lois says, "No, you didn't just use your strength for that. That wasn't like strength that was used to pull that thing off me. Basically, like you made me feel safe. You made me feel not afraid. And as soon as my fear was gone, like they just came off really easily." And it kind of like gets into like a slight distinction here. I don't think this has ever been a thing in the main universe, but this idea that because we release lots of endorphins and stuff like that when we're scared, we actually release more energy. So Parasite wants us to be scared because it actually means there's more energy to siphon off of us, which I was like, oh, that's a neat little touch. I kind of like that as a little extra detail.
Yeah. It's kind of also reminiscent of Pennywise, where he feeds off your fear. So what he wants to do is scare you as much as he can because it makes you taste better, right? But here it's an actual chemical thing where their bodies are producing more of the things that he wants. And like with Lois points out to him, so it can guzzle you like energy, or it can guzzle your energy like a jug of high octane gas. Right. So yeah, him scaring you, which then you go back and see the pages where it chases her into the water. That's what it feels like it's doing. Right. Like it's doing things instead of just grabbing her. It was letting her run and jump into the water and then snatching her.
Yeah. And Superman effectively lets himself be grabbed so that he can sort of use that connection to sort of like make everyone in the hive mind, if you will, feel his presence. Like he basically makes them all feel like, no, he will save them, they'll be okay. And we actually see that from Hawkman's perspective. We get this 2-page layout where all the panels are like sort of inside the outline of his head, and it's like him seeing Superman like save him inside his head. And notably, the Superman that's in his head keeps getting younger. This idea that he's like this young, innocent, idealist that's very different and doesn't have all the weight of all the stuff that's weighs people down as they grow older. He's pure, I guess, to use a word.
So the thing with Superman showing up as a kid to Hawkman is I feel like it's Hawkman sees Superman just as a kid, because Hawkman is this world-weary guy, right, that's had power since the 40s. He's done a lot of bad things. So he is seeing Superman as this kid, right? And it's kind of him also looking down on him. But it's the kid is the one that's successful, right? So it kind of challenges Hawkman's worldview a little bit. So I think that's, shows to shake him a little bit.
Yeah, I think that might be leading, not right away, right? But I think eventually that might lead to Hawkman making a face turn in the Absolute Universe. The idea that Superman eventually will inspire him to, I don't know, maybe just make a sacrifice at the right time to like help the good guys win or something. Like, it may not make up for everything he did, but this idea that he's, Hawkman in this world has been convinced that there's no point in being good, that he's been, he's aligned himself with the bad guys because there's no hope of being good. It's a waste of time. And maybe ultimately, because, he's shocked at the end of this when Superman does have everyone break free of this. And we kind of get it's almost like the Marshmallow Man and the Ghostbusters just going splat, where all the purple goo just goes poof and just flies everywhere. Fun panel.
And it's just like pieces of teeth, right? Because that's really the aesthetic of this parasite, is a bunch of teeth. And so it's all these like lower and upper jaws with attached to the purple going around. And it's very icky. And like the sound effect here is splort that they use too. So yeah, the Marshmallow Man covering everyone with the goo is pretty spot on.
Yeah. Raz leaves a note behind for Superman and says, apologies, but we are who we are. So he's been convinced to leave by Talia, but it does seem to have some, trepidation about it. But I think what was getting me, though, is when it goes back to Metropolis and Superman's flying various people through the city to help them, get to the hospital or whatever, I was like, oh, this is kind of a big deal. He's just saved the city. Because we kind of commented last time that was the first time we went to Metropolis, right? That was like their first time in absolute Metropolis. And I think this issue is like, oh no, he's just done something that saved the entire city, and everyone saw it. Everyone's going to start loving him in the city now and sort of feel like he is kind of their hero. So they're kind of building that up quite nicely. And they do a nice little thing here when there's like the one last little bit of Parasite left, which is now this tiny little creature. He's like, I'm going to take it back to my fortress that I'm building in my barn. So I guess that's where the fortress is going to be. And, I'll be able to contain it there so that it doesn't get out of line. And I can just maybe use a little bit of my energy to like feed it, at intervals, just enough to keep it going, not to hurt him, and just have that. And that's all nice. But Hawkman confronts him and is like, I'm kind of shocked, like you did this, because it sounds like he wants to congratulate him effectively, but Superman cuts him off and says, like, I remember, who you are. I saw inside your head. You worked for Lazarus, so deliver a message for me. Like, I'm coming for them. Like, they don't get to just do what they want now. Like, I'm here. I'm not going to be bought or bargained with. I'm going to come out. And notably, the art here does a nice little thing where it starts, you get a couple of panels where it's like like the kid version from inside Hawkman's head. It's like he's seeing the kid kind of speak to him. And this, funnily enough, made me think of Batman a little bit, because it made me think of that thing that people always say about Batman, is that he declared war on crime as a kid, and that childlike fight is never like ended. Like, he's still that kid in there who's fighting, and it kind of felt like here's like Hawkman seeing him as this kid, because in part because it's this sort of childlike like stubbornness of, no, I'm never going to give in and play what the grown-ups do by giving in and taking bribes or being evil or justifying bad things or whatever. He's going to stick to his guns. And Hawkman, like, you know, after Superman flies away, he's like, Talia, we've got a problem. This guy's an idealist. He's going to be a problem for us.
I love that. I love when it cuts back to them and Hawkman's just like, yeah, I remember. And it's just almost like he's put off by all of this. So then we got a problem. I don't know. There's something that's just very much kind of almost like he's just a regular guy in it. You know, like, yes, he has these wings and he can fight and do all this, but just like, he's like, oh man, we messed up, right? Like, he feels like, you know, almost like Superman made him feel small, and Superman usually doesn't do that to people, right? But he's done it to Hawkman.
Yeah, I think you know, this two-parter was done a really good job of, one, yes, making him appear as a hero in the city, and he saved everyone and everyone saw it, but also this kind of almost mission statement to the villains of, no, I'm here now, and I'm not going to let you away with this shit you've been getting away with, because that's been the way of the world, and now there's someone who's going to actually stand up and stop it. And you know, as we've seen with Absolute Evil and like the backstory of this world, is that, you know, the villains have gotten away with everything. They've taken out any hero that's maybe started to rise up before they could become a problem, and now they've got Superman, who can't just be shut up as easily. And it's like, oh, we have to actually deal with the fact that he exists now, and how that's maybe rocking the boat a little bit. And you know, it's why Hawkman's so surprised by the way all this plays out by the end, where he's like, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Like, oh man, things just got difficult. You know? But yeah, I just love the characters and how that plays off, because it's very much this, Superman is this idealist, in Hawkman is the cynic, right? So just to see them play off of each other in that way as well, it's very entertaining. And
not to mention, Dave, the fact that he's done this proves that he's inspiring everyone, because the whole idea is that he had to make everyone feel safe. That was part of Parasite, to make them all be freed. So it's proving not only that he can do it, but it's proving that he's already having an effect on the people, that they're starting to believe in him, and how that's dangerous for the evil powers that be. So, no, that was a really strong two-parter of like establishing all this stuff that makes it feel like we're again, because we've been talking about nudging forward and closer to what we think of as Superman becoming Superman, and this one to me felt like, oh no, he's pretty much Superman now. Like, yeah, he looks a bit different, he talks a little differently from regular Superman, but this feels like it's like, no, in the Absolute Universe, he has become Superman now.
Yeah, the fact that he decided to take Parasite to his barn and set up the you know, the space zoo, you know, that's his first act. That's very Superman. You know, because he's going to take care of him. And when you just said how he's like inspired the people of Metropolis, it makes me think about, like, that's where we started at with Wonder Woman, with Gateway City, like with the Tetracide, right? And then with Bane, with Absolute Batman, right? And I feel like they're all coming through this, you know, where now there are these three figures that are inspiring, instead of whatever else, you know, like whatever the opposite of that was with the Absolute Evil, with all of the CEOs and tycoons, is these three now have showed up, and they're changing the barometer.
Yeah, they're all very public,
and how the world reacts to things.
Yeah, they're all building kind of their I guess they're not their clout, but their, you know, their allure, their mystique. They're all building that sort of personality up, right? They're getting over with the crowd, to use a wrestling term.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I didn't think about that until just now when you had said that, with, you know, all three of them have done it. Like, I want to say all in their second arcs, but for Wonder Woman, that's how they started.
That was
with Batman, with Bane.
Yeah, that was her entire first arc. Batman's second arc kind of built up to it with Bane. And then here with Superman, it was this little two-parter that kind of, you know, I mean, they'd already kind of done it in a smaller scale in Smallville, but then this was like bigger city, bigger crowd, you know, escalating higher. Yeah,
so, but yeah, no, a lot of good stuff. And like Ferreyra, I feel like matches this book so well. With the way, I love the way that Hawkman looks with the mummy wraps and the wings and all that, but then the Parasite and all the you know, like the body horror kind of vibes of it.
Yeah, the body horror stuff was great.
They're equally good.
That panel of Jimmy was phenomenal, and then all the stuff with Superman looking down at big Parasite was just gorgeous. That said, there was a couple pages at the end we haven't talked about yet, a little epilogue needs to be discussed, because we still have Brainiac visiting Lex Luthor in Missouri. And funnily enough, there's a little bit of a continuity here, because Lex has like some metal on his face that's effectively doing the same thing that the Parasite tendrils were doing to Jimmy earlier on. Very, very similar. Clockwork Orange, opening his eyes up and all that. And Brainiac's got blood all over his chainsaws, and he's like, hey, you need to decide to be the Lex I know you can be. So hopefully you won't disappoint me. So have some time to think about it. And he just leaves him, he walks away, and then the final page is we see that Lex is looking at, all bathed in red, he's looking at the body parts of his entire family. His wife, his kids, they've all been mutilated.
Yep, massacred.
Yep.
Yeah, very, very, very much horror movie, kind of Hellraiser, Art the Clown, right? Like, why let him live so he can tell the story?
Well, what's so wild about this is that this could go a number of ways. This could, like, there is one way where he just kind of becomes Lex, but he does it to take down, like, Brainiac and the other villains, because now he's got, like, a vendetta against them. Two, he doesn't, like, this just solidifies that he is a good person here, because he is on the other side of this, and he maybe is vengeful in some ways, but maybe in more, almost more of a Batman-y way, where he's like, no, I've got a mission now, I've got something to fight for. Alternatively, though, he could become this universe's Joker after this. This might just make him go insane.
So that's what I was thinking, that if they traded the Joker mystique with the Luthor mystique, right? Because Jack Grimm is this entity that's ageless, right? And turns into this big giant monster, but for all intents and purposes, he's very Luthor-like, right? But with the way he has his hands and everything, whatever. We don't really have a Joker like that is like a maniac. And I feel like swapping with Lex here now, that he saw his whole family be massacred and he couldn't do anything about it. You know, all because Brainiac knew what another Lex Luthor was capable of. You know,
yeah, and it's interesting as well, because you have like you're talking about how Joker is more like Lex to an extent in the Absolute Universe. The Batman in the Absolute Universe doesn't have the money, so the fact that he's taken on a billionaire actually means something more than it would in the regular universe. So I think that's an interesting little dynamic there as well, if that's the way they're kind of inching it. So yeah, no, it's interesting. So they could go a number of ways with this Lex stuff, and I really don't know what they're going to do with it. I feel so
bad for him. Yeah, I feel so bad for him. Yeah, which is not something that you usually say with Lex Luthor.
Yeah. And which is the question, is like, if the regular Lex gets to meet this version of Lex or sees what happened to him, like, what does he think about it? Does he feel something? Like,
I mean, I feel like this Lex would be like, why are you crying? They just freed you from this burden. Like, go and be yourself. You know? Because Lex doesn't have, like, yes, he has Lena, but like, Lex doesn't have a family. Lex has people and pawns that he can put the things.
Look, he's ruthless, but he's not like, you know, it's not like spending a weekend in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house wouldn't faze him a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, this Lex is cooked, as the kids say. There's no good that can come from this, right? Like, even if he does become like you said, like Batman with his vengeance, it's gonna be more close to like Frank Castle. Sure. And I feel like with the Punisher, right? And he'll just take out anybody that he sees as a threat, which could be heroes, the villains, like, and he becomes the ultimate wild card. And I feel like that's how they could make him Joker-esque as well. right? Because Joker like doesn't play well with others very often. Like, how often do you see Joker with the Legion of Doom?
Well, yeah, but that's if they go Joker route. If they go more Punisher route, then maybe he can play with others once he's, you know, sees a reason to.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is the man. I remember the memes going around with like absolute Joker is a complete, you know, devil Satan type, and Darkseid really has it out for Batman, and then this Lex is just a guy in Missouri, and now I feel like Darkseid has it out for Lex as well, right? Because like he just massacred his family in front of him, you know, like if you know.
Yeah, but
that presupposes that.
I want to be clear here though. I don't think Darkseid is specifically choosing all these things. I think he's planted a seed for the universe and it's playing it, but I don't think he's like God writing the stories of everyone who's in it.
No, but that's what the meme's making it feel like, right? Like Darkseid sees how much of a threat Bruce Wayne is, so he gives him like takes his money away and makes him fight the literal devil, you know? And it's just like using that logic. What the hell did he see in Lex Luthor to put him through all of this, you know? So yeah, curious to see where this goes. Just because I didn't have Brainiac massacring Lex Luthor's family on any bingo card. You know, when he got introduced at the end of Absolute Evil, I was just like, oh, he's a farmer out in Missouri. Oh, weird.
It's just so funny because I almost forgot we got that scene last time, and then at the end it's like, oh, back to Lex. I'm like, oh yeah, the chainsaws. What's going on here? This is funny. So yeah. No, very good issue of Absolute Superman. I might even suggest that these last two issues have been the two best issues of this book, by a margin, not even by a big margin, but just by a margin where I'm like, oh no, this was like getting into real good territory where I'm excited for every part of it now. So what are you giving Absolute Superman, Matt?
Yeah. I'm giving this one a 9.
I am also giving this one a 9. It was very good.